Welcome back to Coffee with the County, Local Voices series today. My guest today is Tim Terrill, our Executive Director of Mississippi Headwaters Board. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Absolutely. It's great to have you in here. Tim and I have worked very well together on a lot of different events for the Mississippi and the protection of the Mississippi River, and we'll get into all of that. Tim, let's start with you. Tell me a little bit about Tim Terrill.
It's actually Terrill, but
Terrill.
I just let people do that because it just rolls off the tongue when you say Terrill, and so I just let it go. I'm not too particular about that. One of the things is something about myself. I consider myself a conservationist, and most people would say, well, what's that? I kind of look at it and say, so when you go and you shut off the light before you leave the house, that doesn't necessarily make you a conservationist. What makes you a conservationist is when you shut off the light before you leave, you're thinking, oh, I'm saving like coal plants or some natural resources, some of that coal that's burning to generate electricity. And you're kind of thinking along those lines. Of course, most of us are doing it, and primarily me are doing it to save a little bit of money here and there. And that's my primary motivation. But I do think about those things. They do come into my mind, and I don't think a lot of people really think like that. So That's kind of how I see myself as a conservationist from my perspective. But it's how you think about the situation, not what you do. The other thing is most people think that if you're in natural resources, you hunt, you fish, you love all that.
Absolutely.
I grew up in Kansas City, Kansas. We never really did any of that. I shot some guns for target practice, but I never really did that. So I enjoy listening to stories that people do that, and I love to preserve that type of way of life that they like to have. I do like going ice fishing. I do like fishing, and I've learned that I can hunt, but the base problem with it is that I don't have the patience. That's what it comes down to. I enjoy it, but I can last hunting for about an hour, and then my mind starts going into, well, what could I be doing now instead of sitting here? But I admire the people that can sit out for 8 hours in a stand and do that and just enjoy the nature.
Yeah, just knowing you, I know that's not you. That's to just sit. And Tim is always moving and always doing things. And you just mentioned Kansas City, Kansas. You came from, how did you end up in northern Minnesota?
I pretty much grew up there in Kansas City, Kansas, and my dad actually got a job in Owatonna, Minnesota, working as a college professor. So we moved up there my senior year, made some great friends, saw the Minnesota life. When we moved from Kansas City, Kansas, there's always, just like the Twin Cities, there's always a roar. There's always something busy going on in a city, 24/7. So when we moved to the small town of Owatonna, it was like, are we in Mayberry? It was quiet. And I really enjoyed that about a small southern Minnesota town. And you kind of have a little bit up here the same way. A lot of Minnesota's like that. So very interesting.
The great parts of Minnesota are the tourist area, the recreation area. And the Mississippi Headwaters Board now brought you in how long ago?
It would be about 12 years, so like 2013, so...
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Going on 13 years.
Getting around there, yes. And it just seemed... I've always grown up by a river somewhere. I think my whole life has always been by some type of river. So It's kind of interesting that I'm here doing this type of work.
Yeah. And for our listeners, and I would imagine everybody that's out there listening knows what the Mississippi River is. But how many people out there know what the Mississippi Headwaters Board does? What's its function? What's its mission? What do you get to do every day?
Well, first of all, the first thing people ask me is there's a job that takes care of the Mississippi River? How do I do that? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know there was something like that. But what our primary mission is to protect the first 400 miles of the Mississippi River. And what a little bit about that is what is 400 miles? It basically runs from Itasca State Park down to Royalton area. That's Treasure City if you drive by on 371. So those are just kind of the first 400 miles. We have 8 county commissioners from 8 different counties that meet once a month and talk about just the Mississippi River and how we're protecting that, and ways and strategies and grants we can get to do that. And one of your local here in Aiken is Michael Carney. He's a county commissioner, and he is on our board and does a great job of looking out for the interest of Aiken, plus also the 400 miles.
That 400 miles, first 400, the word first is automatic, right? This is where it starts, up in Itasca, and we've heard so many times about making sure that the beginning is clean and pristine, and that's what you guys are out there doing. Making sure that we're protecting the lands, but also there's a part of you that also wants to make sure that we promote the use and the enjoyment and the recreation of the Mississippi River. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure. So back in 2016, the state legislature passed something about aquatic invasive species, and it's commonly known as, in government terms, AIS. So we shortened it, and we started many different things. We were on Fox Sports North talking about zebra mussels and Eurasian water milfoil and now starry stonewort. So we just wanted to promote that, and we were able to build a social media following pretty large. And so we thought about, how can we do that, and how can we also bring in other people to share their successes through that? So it started with social media and just talking for many years, and still doing this, promoting the prevention of aquatic invasive species, because we love our lakes, we love our rivers here, but we want to protect them. And there's just a few simple things you can do at the boat accesses and also at home that will really protect. They're not necessary. I wouldn't think of them as mandatory, even though they're just common sense. It's like washing your hands. You'll eliminate 90% of their health problems just by washing your hands with soap and water. It's kind of like that with aquatic invasive species. If you clean, drain, dry, if you look at your docks before you take them out and make sure that's just common sense measures that really do go a long way.
And it's awesome that you guys are protecting not only the Mississippi, you're protecting lakes with that strategy, and everything that keeps Aiken County naturally better. I have to stick that in there every time. But
right.
It is about our nature and the recreation. A lot of people still boat on the Mississippi, right? You can boat, but a lot of people are canoeing and kayaking on the Mississippi, and that is something that has been near and dear to the hearts of everyone here in Aiken County on all of our vast river trails that we have on the Mississippi. And I know that you've done a ton of work around recreation promotion. What was the...
A resourcetainment is what we call it. We just kind of wanted to help people understand the river a little bit more. So we put some signage up on the river. What it does is at the local access where you can get in Aiken County, and we're doing it on the first 400 miles, but really in Aiken County we've seen a lot of success with it. We have a map there that says you are here. It tells you where to exit and how to drive there to exit. Plus it also tells you, like, how many hours will this take you to paddle? Because a lot of people don't care about miles. They care more about time.
Yeah.
So, you can kind of plan your day out. And we try to pick those 2 to 3 hour segments, not necessarily 20-hour segments, which this is just for the average person who doesn't really want to plan too much, but just wants to know, how do I get from point A to point B? Plus, we also have a QR code that if you scan it, it will follow you down the river, just like Google Maps, and you don't need Wi-Fi for it.
So you've got trail maps, you've got all these things that you're promoting the recreation part while you're protecting the Mississippi River. And, in the bottom line, when we can promote the river as our pristine entity up in the north, it's going to create jobs. It's going to create dollars. It's going to create retail money. People are going to come here to do those kind of things. and they also need to take care of it while they're here. So, I mean, it's just awesome what you guys do. You don't get enough credit ever because you're behind the scenes, right? Nobody really knows what the Mississippi Headwaters Board... I shouldn't say nobody.
Right.
Most people out in our world wouldn't know that that's Terrill.
Terrill, yes.
It's Tim doing those kind of things out there and making that better for everyone. There's also a social media website, but it's called Minnesota Traditions.
Correct.
And that is also housed at Mississippi Headwaters Board. Tell me a little bit about what that does.
Yeah, so we are promoting, of course, aquatic invasive species through that. We're also looking at promoting places and economic development through it as well. So we're just showing you, it's been my experience when you go to a county or you do something, there's always a unique spot there that you're just never quite sure, like this doesn't fit with the normal topography, or it's different, it's unique, and we're trying to find those unique spots in Aiken County. For instance, if you get in North Aiken County, there's a beautiful landing up there that it just seems so remote, but yet you're like 20 minutes away from a big city. So it's just kind of really neat up here. That's what I like about the Mississippi up here, is that you can get on it, you can feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, you feel like you're Lewis and Clark or one of those Zebulon Pike exploring the Mississippi, and you get out and you're 5 minutes away from Caribou or Starbucks.
That's awesome.
And that's kind of what we get to enjoy up here, and I think that's what people like. So we created the signage to help, but then we talked with county, and I said, let's promote some events. And all props go to Aiken County, because I came up with an idea to do a river paddle, and Aiken County ran with it. They promoted it. It's called Paddle Your Glass Off, and it's just kind of one of those events. There's over 100 people that show up to it every single year. We have to turn people away. There's so many people that want to do it. It's just a great opportunity, and we have local brewers, other establishments there that give you samples to see what it's like, and people go out into community, maybe they buy some of that stuff, and then they get a search around Aiken City, Aiken County, and see what it has to offer, not just natural resources, but the economic opportunities that are available.
Yeah, it's outstanding. It's a great event. I know you work very well with the Chamber of Commerce here in Aiken to put on that event. It brings the people into town for a certain reason, and then our retails, our restaurants, our establishments, our stores take over, and hopefully they can attract them in and make a buck from it too. So it's a beautiful way to show off our recreation, show off what makes us naturally better. And thank you for doing all of that. I know it was a great idea that you brought to the chamber, and I know that it's been, I think it's 5 years now. It may be going on its 6th year, and it doesn't have any vision of slowing down. It looks like it's just going to get bigger and bigger, so we're pretty happy about that too. Tim, anything else that comes to your mind? I know those were the things I had on my question and answer list of Mississippi Headwaters Board.
Just something that comes to my mind is throughout my career working in natural resources, I do like that, but I really like working with the people. I like working with people, they have a goal, they have a plan, they have a vision, and I can help them do that. I can help them through programs and through opportunities, or I can bring them to people that can help them do that. And that's always the real fulfillment that I think I find in my job. I think a lot of people can identify that. They feel like they're doing something that's making a difference on a small scale, and it doesn't matter if it's small scale or large scale, helping the individual achieve their success through whatever that is. There's an opportunity there, and I just enjoy that part about what I do.
That is the passion that you have for what you do. It comes out and it shines every time you see Tim. You cannot ever be in a bad mood when Tim is around, because he is one of the most optimistic people I've ever met, and he just finds a way to make optimism and positive happen. So appreciate you and all of that you're doing out there. Mississippi Headwaters Board, our Local Voices series wants to highlight local leaders and people making a difference in our community. And I'm glad that you were able to join us today to talk about those kind of things. So thank you for coming in today.
Thank you, Mark, for having me.
Maybe when it gets a little closer to Paddle Your Glass Off or some of the other events that you have throughout, that you'll come back and give us an update on those, or remind us to get out there. And right now it's about 30 below outside, or will be. So not really necessarily great river trail kayaking days.
And maybe it's freeze your glass off.
Yeah, there you go. We got a new winter event. That's awesome. See how things happen, folks? This is the way that it works. But maybe come back and tell us in the spring of what's happening and how things are going on the Mississippi, and keep us updated.
You bet. I sure will, Mark.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Tim Terrill, Mississippi Headwaters Executive Director. Thank you for coming in, and you're listening to Coffee with the County.